It's TGI Now time, back again in the Cave 420 studio, discussing real authentic truth talk, freedom of speech, and living in the now. Freeing your mind.
One episode at a time.
Shit, we trying.
We are here. We're back in the Cave 420 studio.
Yeah, so Megan couldn't make it. She said she had some car trouble or something.
Yeah, so I'm going to call her here in a second.
Give her a shout.
Give her a shout.
Yeah, I got an opportunity to speak to her a little earlier. Which was nice.
I did a video on our page talking about her being on the show.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
So we'll give her a call here in a second.
She'll be on the show. Her voice will be on the show. It sounded really good. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll put that out. Give her a call. Say what's up.
Let's give her a call.
Yeah, man. What's up, Del?
I can't call it, man.
Can't call it. Yeah, man. Some good shit is happening, bro. I got some stuff popping, some changes. So I'm kind of excited with a little bit of scared. I'm excited with a little bit of scared. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, let's get Megan on the phone.
See how it sounds.
Yeah, you got that HD phone.
Right.
Hey.
What's up, Megan? How you doing?
What do you do?
I'm good. How are you all?
Oh, good. Good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we're live on the air.
Just figured,
Wonderful.
Yeah. So you were saying you had some car trouble, otherwise we would have had you here. Yeah, so.
Yeah, just that,
It is what it
everyday
is.
life.
Yeah. You're a busy girl. You stay busy. You stay active. I see how active you stay on Twitter, talking about all this bullshit that's going on out here. It's these people stealing our kids and all this bullshit.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is.
Wild.
It is. I mean, if you think about it, how wild it is, and it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, and here we are.
It's hard to wrap your head around it, but I think that the reality of it is actually getting grounded, as we speak. And I think that, a lot of people are kind of waking up, if you will. I hate using that, but waking up to
waking up is the right word to use.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting pretty undeniable. And I think that people are really starting to understand what child exploitation is, who the child predators really are in our modern society. How our government weaponizes them, our children against us, weaponizes our constitutional rights, and, highly abuses the authority that we've given them as the people. So I think that it's, a lot of people are realizing things on all different fronts, and we all have our lane in this, and we all have our own experiences. So it's a wonderful thing. And a lot of people overall, though, are starting to realize, which is necessary for the overall issue, and specifically our national crisis of child trafficking, specifically and mainly being done through government-sanctioned child protective services.
Yep. And just to add in, I want to let the audience know, since people don't know who you are, this is Meghan Walsh, the daughter of John Walsh, America's Most Wanted, et cetera, et cetera. So we've had her on the podcast before, and last two times, it was about almost a year ago now. It was April of last year that we had you on twice. Yep. Believe it or not.
The anniversary.
Sure was.
The anniversary. I know. So
Megan, quickly, just getting back to Twitter, because I see that's where you're most active. I see that you just recently posted about Ask John Walsh with experience in family history with silencing people claiming mental illness. Because they are difficult. Explain that to us.
Well, I think that we're all looking and researching these days, and we're looking back in history, which is a very important thing to do, and looking at perspective and narrative versus the truth. And, when I've extensively, researched my parents, my brother's case, CPS, and the things that I advocate and speak out about. And, we've used this. We've seen this before in Nazi Germany. We've seen this here in America, and not that long ago, where they were, just deeming people that were difficult or went against the narrative or the mass narrative, if you will, or beliefs, that they would essentially institutionalize them, say that they were crazy, and then, as we see in the tweet, that was kind of to be a little bit extreme and to share their people's stuff.
No,
but
but
you
they
discredit
were
them.
doing lobotomies,
Yeah.
just up until what, the 50s or whatever. Don't quote me, but it was a 10-minute procedure, and this is something that it's trust the science, trust the doctors.
There
and,
was a big movie about it. Jack Nicholson, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah, and,
I mean,
we've
it
had
was
a
happening.
modern,
Yeah.
and we have to understand that look, in our modern society, if we think of the past 5 years or so, there's been a huge normalizing and actually making it a trend, this mental illness and mental health, excuse me. So there's been this, it's trendy now, all of Generation Z, and they're dealing with trans and identity crisis, and now all of them think they have mental illness. And we're really we have to look at where psychology came from. We have to look at also where medicine is. This is not God. We're all human. We all are trying our best, or we all make mistakes, and we have to understand that medicine in certain ways in the past has been and become more of an ego for these people, very narcissistic within the modern psychology. And
no, I totally agree. Hey, listen, I mean, I've been going to doctors most of my life to get prescriptions for. At first, it was the kid's depressed, the kid's anxious. He got he has bipolar. Now it's PTSD. All this other shit that they want to give you all these drugs. I've been off drugs now almost 3 years, Meghan, off pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, I just use cannabis, and I got to tell you, man, my life is 100% better. Yeah. When she got off that shit. Yeah, man.
Absolutely. I mean, my parents have tried to get me on pills and all of this since I was a small child instead of getting their own help.
No, they don't. You're very organic. Pills don't work for
people
you.
that know me in the area and know me, from being online, know that I was, I'm a teacher of natural approaches and lifestyle, a life coach, and all these other things that I actually took years of my life to become and study under the best, people in those arenas. Gabrielle Bernstein, Kripalu Institute in Massachusetts, one of the top meditation centers. And I was
flew out to India, right? You even flew out to India for a while.
I lived in India for 3 years, actually, and studied Ayurvedic medicine, as well as I was a Kundalini practitioner, which the focus there is on emotional healing. So the point here, to respond to what you just said, actually, is that, giving people a medication. Obviously, we're not talking about legitimate circumstances, but that is not the majority, and that's not what we're talking about and dealing with as a modern society, having gone through COVID and all these different things, broken homes, broken families, and the struggles that we're all facing to pay bills and, everything going on lately. But when we are taking pills and we are taking chemicals for things that are stress or life's hardships, then we aren't looking and healing the trauma. We're just masking it. We're putting a Band-Aid on it.
And then the Band-Aid you're putting is poison.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. It's poison, and it's a cascade of interventions. You start one medication, then the doctor even warns you, you're going to have to wean off of this, or you're going to have to take it for the rest of your life, or then you get a medical issue from it, and you have to take something for that. And, this is an ongoing sick care industry. And
it's Pfizer. Pfizer is one of the biggest industries out there. I mean,
absolutely.
Shit. Pfizer is. I mean, I think Pfizer is part of the probably the biggest crime family out there.
Yeah. next to the Biden.
And Clintons.
No.
When we have anything that big and, on a corporate level and profiting as much as it does, and that's sort of a feeding entity, then there's going to be problems with it. There's going to eventually be corruption. There's going to be abuse of power or things of that nature, and that should really be taken into account just by default. Nature.
Absolutely. I mean, nature in itself gives us all the medicines we need. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
God gifts us with herbs, with all these different products that come from the earth that are natural and good for you. That they don't want you to know about.
Nope.
No, they don't. And we are blessed with modern medicine and approaches in if it's necessary in an emergency and for certain things. But the issue here is really educating families and starting with their children on how you can live a lifestyle that is completely natural, and it doesn't have to be granola. We're at a great place now where we
So
know
many
so
good things
much.
out there.
You don't have to be a hippie in a van. It's okay. You can just be healthy. You don't have to go do yoga and do all that. You can stretch. You can take care of yourself. It's a perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's very realistic ways to do that. And then that's how we raise children that have a great awareness. They know how to take care of themselves. Montessori is an amazing approach to integrating education into your children's lives, where it's enjoyable and also things that they can use later in life and can really help them.
But you have to be careful with that.
Education.
You have to be careful with that. I think if you take care of your kids too much, they want to take them from you.
Yeah.
No healthy children.
These days, unfortunately, our again, child protect. That's a great segue, Eddie, because our child protective services, I will never stop until they are stopped.
Right.
Is unfortunately taking children from loving homes and selling them through adoption.
Right, and the thing is this: going to the medication, just going in, as you mentioned, is that if you don't allow your child, if you say you don't want to give your child a certain medication, CPS will take your fucking kid.
Right.
Yes, they absolutely
You know
will.
what I mean? Because
don't
they
wanna
feel
get
that you're not caring for your kid. You're not taking the doctor's opinion. When you feel, no, I don't want to give them that poison. There's other things that, there's other alternatives. But,
right, and also now they're making everyone mandated reporters. So, the doctor can call and say, oh, they didn't come in for their appointment, or they didn't follow the protocol like I told them that they should, or they're not getting their kids the vaccine, and they actually get a cut from that report of money, and then your children are taken, and it's become far too subjective. These are supposed to be issues of child abuse or neglect, and we have a criminal justice system for that. Granted, that needs reform as well.
Very
but
much
we have
so.
that, and excuse me.
Very much so, especially in this county.
Yeah.
Especially, we're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying. I think I got a couple calls a few weeks ago begging me to run for sheriff. But,
You should give it a shot. It'll be fun.
Right? Yeah. Makes sense. Why not? Everybody else is throwing their hat in the ring,
Right.
so why not?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
I guess I'd have to move back to Indian River County then. So that's a big. That's a big deal breaker, but
right.
But yes, and even within that, with police reform and police departments, I've supported police and law enforcement my entire life. I was born into it. I mean, this is a joke.
I know.
And I really think that.
And it's funny how it turned against you, though. It's funny how here you were for them, pro-police, grew up as, supposedly this very, law-abiding home, America's Most Wanted, all this stuff. You were pictures with Ronald Reagan and how it turned against you.
Yeah. Yep.
See how that happened?
I definitely had my fun in my 20s, and I have a past like everyone else does, but I was always the designated driver, and I was always, the one at home making, a dress in North Carolina during college, but I did have my days. I was, again, everyone knows I was in fashion and music, and I was brought up and born into media and politics.
Hollywood, all of it.
By default, again, that's a pass, but we have an option when we become adults. We can either, recreate and repeat our past, or we can become better and we can really learn from it. We can see that it's a great way for life direction and purpose, and how we can help others through our own experiences, and that's how it's supposed to go. We're not supposed to be shaming and judging each other and kidnapping each other's kids because the neighbor got mad. We're at a point that it's literally that.
It's all fear.
And it's because they need the money. They want our children, and it's a $1 trillion business yearly.
Well, segue into also like CPS and what CPS is about, but also with the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and where that all comes into play, and where their tentacles are in it. as well.
Absolutely.
It's almost like
well,
the thief. It's like the thief that stole your wallet helps you try to find it.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much. Isn't that what the Center for Missing and Exploited Children is? You know, like they steal your kids, and okay, we will help you find the kid. You know,
Yeah.
but they're the one that snatched the kid. You know.
Yep. Go ahead, Megan. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I'm sorry if I
No. This is
over.
listen.
I
We're
think
having a
there's way
conversation. Now we're all good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, we have to realize that CPS and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as well as their sister organization, the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that was on a scale from smallest to largest. They are large entities, and they are given a lot of authority, a lot of respect, and no questions asked. And, we need to be asking those questions. This is, again, about our children. This is not only about our children, but this is about our American families. And these are crimes against humanity and children, and it needs to be addressed in the least. So when we have CPS, that's literally taking children out of homes, putting them and the parents through severe trauma. If they are, returned at all, which is not the majority, they're sold again through adoption, or they're put in the foster care system where they're drugged up. Speaking of big pharma. This is a racket in everyone's communities that people need to realize. You all have a county DCF office. You have, the community organizations that they contract out to handle the case plans, and then these services, quote unquote, that then they collect state funds and all of that from. So this is also our taxpayer money that is funding government-sanctioned child trafficking via or under the guise of CPS. And this is not a broken system. This is a well-oiled machine.
It's been happening for years. It's been happening for years.
It is. It's very coercive control. It's using your children to get money. It is trafficking.
It's trafficking without a
the
doubt.
families and the children.
A child is trafficked if he's taken out of the county.
Yeah.
That's trafficking. And here you got kids taken out of the state, taken out of their homes, and given to other families
by the state.
They're paying the vig.
And these children are being told that, we're here to help you, and they're being horribly abused, murdered, molested, and more. We're at a great point now where a lot of children are aging out, and they're speaking up. And it's really, with all due respect, pathetic when it has to be the victims that are actually children or young adults that are the ones that have to stand strong and speak up, because the adults of America that have allowed this for so long and believed the narratives of the best interest, or there must be more to the story that we don't know, or these children are thriving, or adoption is great, or abortion is not murder, all of this. We have to literally invert these scripts that we've been reciting, literally just reciting because we've heard it over and over again, and we can sleep at night and ignore it because of the narrative that the people, the criminals doing it, have given the public because of their positions of power.
Yeah, it's a little scary where the tentacles go together between CPS, Department of Children and Families, the Center for Missing and Exploited Children,
it's
and
the
also
amount of children that are gone missing.
That's how
the
we
amount
to the National Center.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
well, and who started the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children?
Well, actually, Jeff Koons, who's a modern pop artist known for the highest amount of money for a piece of artwork, the highest paid living pop artist, he actually was part of founding the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And then he went on with Ernie Allen, who was also part of founding the center. And he was originally from Kentucky, actually, where at that time the country was looking to Kentucky and the law enforcement and departments there for response and options regarding child safety. So he was already in this. He was already an administrator and things. So the two of them, after establishing the National Center with all the other players, They then go over to Europe, and they go through The Hague, and which the UK is having a huge issue with child trafficking and international adoption or kidnapping. The International Center has been reported to be actually aiding in those, but it was started then with Coons, who is an alleged accused by his ex-wife pedophile of their molesting their own son while he was a baby. And he goes with Ernie Allen, and they start the International Center for Missing Exploited Children with Eve and Richard Branson, who we know from
Richard Branson,
and we know he also, some people aren't aware, Richard Branson also was a founding donor to Terramar, which is Ghislaine Maxwell, and which was, obviously a sovereign, this sovereign territory. So why is this man, founding and donating money to found an international children's organization
to cover his own
and
ass.
also a sovereign, territory in the middle of the water somewhere?
Exactly. Yep.
Also, the World Economic Forum is on the board, and many other nefarious players. But, with the World Economic Forum, and excuse me, Tony Blair's wife, as well as Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Yep.
So this is, we're talking about, again, people want to think, oh, everyone's, it's not everyone, all these celebrities, all these politicians, they're all, eating babies and, oh my gosh, this pedophile and Pizzagate and all of these, like, really just media kitsch terms that they've given you that's why you repeat it, and they know that. It's a business, it's an industry, it's a science. I've grown up in it, and that kind of keeps you from having to look at the real ways in which this is happening and done. And it is hard, this is stuff that no one wants to see, no one wants to even think about, but we have to see this. We have to be showing what this is, or else we're part of the problem. We are allowing this, and it is with our money.
Absolutely. No,
and they're doing it without money.
No, 100%, 100%. And then Branson's been here in Vero many times, so I don't know what he's doing coming to Vero. So you think about that and how he comes into this town, and he's putting his paws in whatever the fuck's going on, so it's...
Well, what is Vero, John? We've got James O'Keefe, we've got Joe Petito, John Walsh, Eric Flowers is trying to be a TV star. We've got other, DeSantis has had property here. The players go on. And
this is the planting ground.
This is
where they plant everything.
It's scary.
It seems to be.
Yeah, you got to think about all the stuff that's connected to us, that's connected to the area code 772. So much has been connected to us.
Yep.
It's ridiculous at this point.
When you just look it up about, like, if you look up a generic search about money laundering, though, like, one of the top articles quotes Vero Beach as the example. Yeah.
You got to think about Coast to Coast, that landscaping company.
Yep.
They said that was one of the biggest cocaine distributors in the U.S. at the time.
Wow.
Well, that's when we also start looking at history, and we know about, again, people think it's so long ago, but we talk about mobs and cartels, where we've got cartels happening right now with children crossing the border and being trafficked. And why do people think that the traffickers are bringing more and more children over the border? Because they know that the system is already set up for them. They know the trafficking system is already working and live and well in America. They're bringing the children over the border. They apply for a work visa, which then allows them to apply to take in a kid. And they don't care. When you're a trafficker, it's product to you. You don't care if you get the same kids. You just need the same amount, or you need to make the same amount of money, or so on and so forth. So, DCF, CPS, Department of Homeland Security, they are all taking in migrant children, and they are putting them into the system, filing them with Medicare and Obamacare and all this database stuff, and then they're shipping them to different places. DeSantis, while he was shipping migrants up north and making a whole news thing around the same time, before or after, he took in roughly 130,000, migrant children in through our system, and he just funded it over $20 million more.
The sanctimonious. Yep,
I already
that
know,
makes
man.
sense. Yeah, I mean, it's-
Hey, listen,
we
DeSantis
have-
don't impress me.
I don't know. Hey, I want everyone to do what's right. My hashtag is better ways. But when you are funding that and you're saying you're taking down the big bad cabal and you don't stand for trafficking and you just sign something saying that pedophiles will be eligible for the death penalty in Florida. We need to address this in the least. We need to be talking about it. Everyone wants it to be some kind of confrontation or something like that. And no, these are serious issues about children and our country and our future that we need to be able to drop our pride about, sit down at the round table, and really all be on the same page of, okay,
absolutely.
let's talk about our different perspectives, what is going on, not have our egos or we did something wrong, and we need to fix this because there are better ways, and we are in control of our children and our community.
At the end of the day.
Well, it's funny, like you have mentioned, I always talk about the kids, like we're the missing migrant children that are coming through, and because they always talk about these missing migrant children, but where are they?
Yeah.
So they're being distributed, and it's sad. It's really sad. I was molested as a child, so I'm telling you, it's really sad what these kids are going through.
It's disgusting.
It's gross. Yeah.
When
Fucking
people
gross.
see the videos of children drugged and laying in the dirt and taped up on our border, you will not, I don't understand how we're each, and this is not a big issue. This is a big issue,
This is a fucking
but it's
news
not
issue.
a big solution. It's a pretty simple, clear-cut solution. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, in conjunction with the FBI itself, quote that an average of 86, and it's risen, I've heard up to 92%, and that's only the reported, child trafficking in our country comes from the foster care system. So again, National Center and FBI, where are you all, what are you doing about that? Well, instead you're telling parents and children to learn how to use the internet and educating them about online predators.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now the one thing I've seen from history is that our government, if there's money to be made, whether illegal or not, they're gonna have a hand in it.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna do it legally.
Yep. Exactly. That's why.
These are systems. A system by design cares about, it cares about supply, it cares about product, and it cares about the profit, right? And our children and our families are sacred under God. We're living human beings. We're not a boat company. We're not a corporation. We are living human beings. Everyone has problems and struggles in life. You cannot literally take our children and have a system handle these issues. This is it doesn't take a village. That's Hillary Rodham Clinton, Margaret Sanger, Dr. Kinsey, the pedophile doctor. In Nazi Germany, they were doing they had a whole entire program of placing boys through the foster care system in homes with pedophiles. This also goes back to NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Lovers Association. You can look up their congressional proposals and work saying that we will be in every church, in every bathroom, in every gym, in every park. We will be everywhere. And where are we seeing them now in the trans issue that we're facing right now? But furthermore, the point here is that we are the masses. We are looking at this issue and we don't understand it. It is too much. Cognitive dissonance is real, and we've all believed that these people were good. These are false idols, and these are real people that have a public persona and a private life. We all do. These people are not on pedestals here, and they need to be held accountable. But if you look at and understand this demographic, or this lifestyle, then you have to understand that we are the masses. We will not understand their ideology. This is an ideology for these people. They believe that pedophilia is okay. They're normalizing it with maps and yaps, minor attracted people, all of this that I was exposing years ago. And they're trying to normalize it because they believe that we are all messing up our children because we aren't bringing them up exposed to sexual experiences and comfortable with their bodies and all this gender, identity politics crap that they are putting on us when our country is facing real issues, specifically with our own children and family
Megan,
because of them.
yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right, and and that's what people
They're
need.
causing the trauma, John. I don't mean to interrupt, but
No,
they're
no.
causing the trauma, and then they're providing the solution, and they're profiting from it. That's Hegelian dialect by definition, and this is a playbook for them.
Yeah.
We have to understand that. Case where people, yes, there's good people that get involved in this, but they are groomed.
Yeah.
They are groomed in it, and the administrators, there are incentives and quotas. How do we have quotas on the amount of children
Then you
being
take
taken
in-
in each county so that they can get more funding the next year?
Yep. That's all it comes down to. And like you said, it's
This is not rocket science.
Yeah, and like you said, it's the trauma. It's the childhood trauma, and it begins at the very beginning. So for the folks that don't know about the story, Meghan's children have been removed from her, and so she had a child that was 5 days old that was taken by the authorities as well. So people know these things. They need to find these things out. They need to understand what's happening and why these things are happening, and what is the reasoning for this, and why these things aren't national news, and why these aren't being shined on it.
And also the fact that CPS is being weaponized. We're seeing this, a lot of this being talked about certain systems being weaponized, law being weaponized, all of this. And CPS is being weaponized against the American people and our children at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When you're kidnapping and you're against the people, that's like literally, to me, and you can ask any mother or parent that's had to go through this, that's an act of war.
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's fucking scary, but it is an act of war because they're going after
somebody's
our kids.
kid. That's
yeah.
what the fuck? You know what I mean? Let's fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord says that we can be mad, but we can be angry, but we do not sin. And that's what people need to understand here, is that we are not coming out and no one going through this is going, ah. This is very fundamental. We are bringing this and we are sharing to bring awareness with truth and grace because we want justice and peace. This is about our children. This is not some hype trend on social media. This is not a political fodder for, MSM or anything like that. This is the real issue that our country is facing.
Well,
for both Democrats and Republicans and everybody.
They're all involved.
Everybody's involved in this. These are our kids.
Taking trans kids. So
these are our children that they're taking, and then they want to confuse the children with this transgender stuff. So they're already screwing up our kids. If they can't take them, they're going to screw them up.
Yep.
So it's breaking children.
Our kids are the target. Our kids are the target. If they get our kids, they get our future.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
As Rondell said before.
And they have to, and you know what, if you look at what's going on an overall basis across the world, the UN just legalized pedophilia, sex with any age. Any sex act is legal now. That means with animals, that means with children, that means anything. And that's the UN, okay? That's a globalist agenda. The National Center has World Economic Forum and all these other global corporations and systems and administrations. It has been taken over, and it is now a globalist organization, in my opinion, and many, many others.
Yeah, globalist.
Pretty evidently.
Yeah, it is. It's worldwide. It's like you said before, people are waking up to it. But I think I call it more like people are becoming a little bit like shaken awake. They're becoming a little sober to the fact that what the fuck's going on under our noses? They've been doing these kids for all this time, and then we didn't know about it.
Well, they have to. And, I actually retweeted an amazing tweet today by an ex-foster youth that came out and said, because it is ironically foster care month or whatnot, and chest grabbers, I swear, with God complexes. But it's very, very dangerous. It's actually a very serious issue. But he came out, or this person, I don't know if it's a male or female, but they came out saying, for this month, my post, I will not put a trigger warning on my posts about being in the foster care system and what happened to me. I'm not responsible, or it's not my, burden on how this makes you feel. And, again, like I said in the beginning, when children have to come out, we have had incredible videos all over. We had Ty and his sister who were ordered to a reunification camp with their abuser. This woman, Linda Gottlieb, is having these reunification camps where family court, this is not not just CPS. This is involving family court as well. And they're being ordered to reunification camps, quote unquote, with the abuser, where they go for a certain amount of time, usually 90 days. They are forbidden to have contact with the protective or other parent. And when they are there, they go through therapy with their abuser, where they're essentially reprogrammed to, believe that the abuse never happened or that it was okay. And a lot of it's being done through neuro-linguistic programming, EMDR, and all of these, again, satanic, psychological.
For real, that's what it sounds like. Satanic.
Industry.
It just sounds satanic as fuck. That's it.
It's ritualistic abuse on a wide scale. If you don't like that term, it's trauma-based mind control.
Yep.
We know psychologically what this does. It splits a child that then, makes them more susceptible to suicide, to the prison system. We know the pipeline, but also psychological and mental issues like DID, multiple personality disorder, anxiety, PTSD, depression, and more.
Yeah.
So we really are ignoring the actual perspective of the children and how this system is actually affecting them. We have parents and children committing suicide across this country every single year because of this system.
Yeah, and I said it on the video I did last night, introducing you coming on the show. It's psychological manipulation of consciousness, but it's also, it's not, they make it sound like it's a culture war, it's a gender war, but it's a spiritual war. It's a war on the mind. It's a war on the mind of the children, and that's what they're going after. And like Rondell said about the whole demonic thing and satanic, that's exactly what it is. It's a war on the mind. These kids can't see or realize what's happening to them because they were born in truth, and now they're being brought up to believe all these lies and all these things that are happening to them.
Exactly. And John, we know in these terms, like, the world is a scary place these days, right?
Yep.
So we're bringing all these new souls, if you will, here, and being a scary place, the soul, for metaphorically speaking, the soul, it has a hard time arriving. So we're seeing more issues like mental illness and things like that because these children don't have a foundation. They don't have a grounding, and we're seeing anxiety, like I just said, the whole gambit of the list. And we have to understand that when we are taking children, we know the overall is to rid God, the connection to God and knowing God and Jesus especially. But when you are taking children from their homes, which over 77% of removals to date are unfounded, okay, that's huge trauma to the families and children for the money at the time, and then oops, sorry.
Yeah.
You're lucky you got your kids back. So, a child will always want to know where it's from. Just like whatever we want to tell ourselves or whatever we go through periods in this life, we always at the root want to know God, right? Or our connection or whatever vernacular or belief you hold that to be. But a child always wants to know their parents. They want to know their biological family. They want to know where they came from. And right now, they're being taken. They're being sold to other families. So we're taking children. Strangers are coming into our homes, this is not law enforcement. Law enforcement is aiding it, and that's why every sheriff's department and any law enforcement that is standing by and showing up to these calls should be held accountable as well. But they are taking these children, strangers, saying, we're here for your protection. The children know the truth. My mommy and daddy don't abuse me. They love me. Joe over across, 5 acres down, or when we were in Missouri on vacation, got mad. It's like, okay. But we are taking children, strangers are taking them, we are putting them and dropping them off at houses of strangers. Now, think if you were a child and you're being dropped off in a stranger's car, you're in a stranger's house where they're like, we're your new family, or we're here, here's your toothbrush, here's clothes, we're taking care of you. And with our money, why aren't we putting our funding, and if any money is involved, any incentives whatsoever, I want to see thriving families. The issues our families are facing today are financial issues, domestic abuse, substance abuse, and these types of things. We have to get real, okay, if we actually want to help people.
Right.
And if we want the children to be helped most. We also know by science and studies and research that the best place for children is in their home, in their primary primary environment and always with their biological family, even if there is issues like I just listed. So what we need to be doing is we need to be incentivizing community organizations and everything. No one's losing a thing. We're just asking you to actually have integrity and be held accountable and stop hiding behind your immunity and have community oversight, because we're paying you and we're donating and we're allowing this to go on and trusting you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to be giving incentives to show me a family that's thriving after a substance abuse issue. Show me a family or mother and children or father and children that are thriving and they have a great co-parenting situation now because we've worked with them. We've given them all of our services that we can. You know, we have the best people with good hearts. Not these 1, 2, 3-star doctors and psychiatrists and all this that they're locally contracting out, and they are that low of stars and quality because those are the people that will falsify reports. They will do what the department or in whatever state you're in will tell, want them to do. And that's the bottom line of it. I mean, there's so much more, but
you're right. You said something, and I was thinking about that when you were speaking previous, is that instead of taking our money and fund all these agencies, is that we should take our money and fund different agencies to educate young parents, educate parents who may be struggling with abuse or whatever the case may be, and we could educate these parents. And a lot of these kids don't have to be, placed someplace else, because the parents could be educated and taught. And they could be, obviously, looked over to make sure that they're doing the right thing. Instead of just taking a kid from a home because somebody fucked up once or twice because they're learning. It's a whole new experience. You take that kid from them, and now the kid is going to some home that they paid you for, because it's not going into a regular nice home, somebody who did an adoption, all that bullshit. Those people are on a waiting list. You want a kid right away, pay the VIG. So... if we took that money, it really makes a lot of sense. And I think it'll be a lot less than what we're spending now on all these fucking agencies,
But they don't let you control your taxes.
And also, if we stick to not being subjective in a very politicized world these days, in a very divided world, this is not about whether we like someone or not, or somebody's personality or their lifestyle on how they choose to raise their children. This is about whether there is child abuse or neglect occurring.
Exactly.
That is all.
That's it.
And we will see the numbers drop.
That's it.
If you ask any local law enforcement or anything that's an honest one, they will tell you. The actual real circumstances and situations are very few and far between. This is exaggerated so that they can get more funding, and we give them more money, and we support their narratives. Another grift that they put out is that there's all these children that need loving homes. Yes. They have loving homes. Poverty does not equal neglect, does not determine neglect or define guarantee that there's neglect going on,
You're right.
And right now, in Nazi Germany, they stole children to Germanize them, okay? And that's what we're having going on in America now. They're stealing our children so that they follow a certain upbringing.
They could program them.
And eventually the state will
this way they could program them.
That's why parents that are fucking those parents that are changing the sexes of their children, those are kids that need to be removed from that situation.
Absolutely.
Because
but that's not happening. Those parents,
you know why that's not happening? Yeah.
It's like yay to those parents because they're
with the agenda.
They're with the agenda that's going on with this fucking population.
The satanic agenda. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, Rondell.
It's towards Baphomet and Pan. Pan and Baphomet are pansexual, which we're hearing now, so they're happy about that.
Yep.
And Baphomet is both male and female. That's why they love twins, and that's also why they want transgender, because if you can be eunuch or androgynous, then in Luciferian doctrine, you ascend, you have more power, you're closer to, your God and the image of your God, which is self-worship and doing these things to yourself and mutilating yourself. And that is satanic. And, I was a religious scholar for over 20 years. So if people can't, it's so unfortunate to hear people that do want to talk in this way and from this perspective and have it be laughed off or shamed, by those who obviously, I don't know their religious history. I don't know. I don't want to be insulting, but it's insulting, in the same respect back. And we kind of, again, just have to get grounded here, for the betterment and to really solve these issues.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I said last podcast, they're mocking God's creation. They want to mock the creation. It's evil, good versus evil, and mocking the creation and everything, not just the kids, but everything around us, our food, our everything. It's all by design, like you said. And when I worked at Hibiscus Children's Village here in Vero, they talked about the same thing about it takes a village, all that crap. Kids are removed from their homes due to abuse and neglect by the authorities. They need a loving home. They got to go somewhere to transition. Well, no, they transitioned them into a shelter, which is like a jail.
It's foster prison.
It's foster prison, yeah. And then when I was sound asleep when I was working there, I didn't see it as that foster prison. I saw it as, they get a place to go because they took from the house because they were being abused, And then you realize, like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. This is all a crock of shit.
They're literally holding events and fashion shows for these poor children, especially teenagers, where they're given 5 or 7 minutes or to walk up and down a runway with an audience of adults that might want them, and they're hoping, and then if it doesn't work out, then they're allowed to return them. And this is like animals. They are even using the term rehoming, forever home, where this is treating our children like animals when they're becoming part of a system. A system is a one platform way. It has a diagnostic, it has checklists, it has timelines, and this is not how we handle children and families. This is insanity.
It is insanity. Everything is reversed, living in reverse. Evil is living in reverse. LIVE is EVIL. So it is insanity. We live in the same time. But again, what we're doing and bringing light to it is how we're going to fix it. We save ourselves. So how do we do that? We shine a light on the darkness. We focus on it. We bring people in and speak their truth. And that's,
we talk about it, and we communicate, and we come together, and we drop our pride and our egos, and we listen to each other. That doesn't mean you have to agree or that anything even changes in that moment. But we have to start coming together and having those quote unquote hard discussions for our children at this point.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, it's and like you said, they do these fundraisers, they parade these kids in front of these people, and you don't know who's in the audience. It's thinking they're going to get this kid and what they're going to do next and all that stuff. You don't realize it till you wake up and you start to see it with your real eyes that this is really going on, and it's going on in our own backyard and backyards all over the country.
I was looking for the event. I posted it. They're having a drag event out here.
Ronald Reagan. Everyone wants to love, President Reagan. I mean, I was held by him in the Rose Garden, in the Oval Office, and weird pictures underneath the White House with cinder blocks and all sorts of stuff. Yep. But if anyone wants to research and look into Reagan's adoption effort and initiative, this is where it started with, if something doesn't work out with the adoption and taking this child in, then it's the child's fault, and we're so sorry. Will take the child back, and you can talk to us about another child. Then that went into the Clintons signing during the Clinton eras of ASFA, the American Safe Families Act, which then incentivized all of this, and Title IV E and all the alphabet, but D and E specifically. Where that is child support as well as CPS funding. So they're getting the fathers with child support, and now they're, getting the mothers with the single mothers with taking the children and the court fees and handing children to abusers, because that also keeps the system going as well. If you solve something and heal somebody or a family, then you don't get to profit anymore, right?
Yeah, and that segues into what they're doing with this what's it, the father's rights now? They're like they're lifting the father rights up. What is that you were talking about?
It's further division, and I'm really disappointed in every father that is participating in that. And I have great advocates that I'm acquaintances and have done work with in that movement, and we understand that we disagree, but we need men in this fight. We need fathers, and we need the masses, because the ones fighting are moms and traumatized families. Okay, at this point. And people are starting to join, and it's absolutely amazing. But we still have this issue going on.
Yeah. it's scary to see, and just to know that it's happening in your backyard is that people need to realize that. People that are listening, it's happening in your town, right under your noses. It's been happening under our noses in this country for a long time, and
it's not
wake
too
up.
big. That's not an excuse for you to not be able to do anything about it. It is happening in your county. And like I said earlier, mentioned briefly, you go while you're sitting there, instead of making a tweet or a post, about your, the pumpkin you just bought, instead go on and Google and search what your county's department is, your CPS, DCF, whatever it's called in your area. Who their administrators are, who their, attorneys and staff are. You go and see who they contract with in your local community, and those will be the local organizations or businesses. And sometimes an organization is a business and a nonprofit. That's a variable as well. So you look and see who that is, as well as the local pharmacies that contract with the foster homes. They are contracting and giving children in the foster homes in many places across our country all 40 prescriptions of all the same, first thing in the morning. And children are being put out on the street after aging out, and they're addicted to, 7, 8, 9 different medications. How are they supposed to know who they are? How are they supposed to function? And how are they supposed to, have a life? The majority, again, are ending up in prison or on the streets and trafficking themselves, and women in sex trafficking.
But just like you said, all of that is preparation for them to, you see the economy's crashing, all of this shit. We're going to be London. These kids are going to be killing each other. Teen suicide over in London is crazy.
Really?
I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. It's getting them used to being institutionalized, and
relying on somebody.
Seeing that in the juvenile system. We're already, we know that, it's a pipeline, and we already see it in the prison system, where we have repeat offenders because they feel more comfortable actually in the system because it's a routine, they are used to it. And most of all, and heartbreakingly enough, is because they're used to it.
Yeah, you're right. That's
they get institutionalized. Well, Megan, it's coming time to close. I just want, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, with your site.
Yeah. Can you give us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give my information now. Thank you, guys.
Sorry about that. I was joking in between.
It's okay. Again, I've been supported by so many amazing people across this country. Sadly, my local community, I don't know if they're too terrified from what I've heard of my father and the history and the reputation of the people he's affiliated with, like the sheriff's department. But I was disappointed with the local response, especially because we do have so many families, especially my age, that have decided to move back to Vero Beach and to make their home there. And I want it to be safe again. I want our small community that I grew up in, and I want that for everyone across our country, whether you're in a city or a rural area, whatnot. Our children need to be safe, and our families and parents do as well. So
I don't think the sheriff. I'm sorry. Just to get back to that, real quick.
Yeah.
I don't think the sheriff is going to be around after this election.
No.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it through this election.
I don't think he will either. From last I was told, he hadn't, reapplied or entered the race, whatever we want to say.
He know better.
And that's really sad. Again, he's my age, and we all know him in this community, and it just seems like since he got up with John Walsh, I think
put him on TV.
Put him
on TV.
That's all he wants is to be on TV.
He wants to be on TV.
Well, so he did it all. His marriage is ruined now. His poor son, and all of these things. He's from what I hear, he's being sued in the private and the public by Cleveland Clinic and others. And it's just, my heart. I pray for him. I always have.
Yep.
I've always asked for him just to reach out, to sit and talk. Again, I'm here for our community. I'm here for our children, and that could have really been a great outcome. We could have all, and this is what I'm saying this as myself because I want this to be an example for what can happen in everyone's community. And that's how we really get involved, and that's how we know what's going on.
Yeah, and evil exposes itself, and that's what's happening. Is evil's starting to expose itself. So they have to expose themselves first before people wake up from their slumber to see what the fuck's going on. And I think that's a big part of it.
That's why I mentioned the UN earlier. Across the board, you're absolutely right, John. We're seeing, all of this legislation being pushed or sooner adoption, under the guise of being good for children, and it's really every last ditch effort that they can come up with, including drag queens, at bookstores and swinging a pole. So they have to get us to agree with it, which means they have to normalize it before we realize it fully, and no one is okay with it.
Nope, not at all.
Well, I'm not choking now, so if people want to get in contact with you, how can they do that, Megan?
Thank you, Eddie. Of course, everyone can go follow me on Twitter. That's Meghan Walsh _. My TikTok was just banned yesterday after we exposed babies being sold on CCP-owned TikTok accounts.
Wow.
Of course they're going to ban that.
Yeah.
So this is not a conspiracy. This is not a theory anymore. It's not Wayfair. These are actual accounts, and they're using the guise of private adoption, which is a whole other show. That's how they do international and all of that. That's where the International Center would also be involved, as well as the National Center through Adam Walsh, adoption requirements and forms and different other ways. But anyways, my TikTok was banned in the middle of my live after 30 minutes or so yesterday. I had 15,000 followers. So my new handle over there is Meghan Walsh _2. So I'm back, but we need to build up my followers.
Okay,
and stuff.
I'll put it out there myself.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, I couldn't be doing this without the American people and the support of the people. We plan to take this as far as we have to truly protect the American people. We're fighting against precedent statute being set that will affect every American family, in terms of them being able to remove your children based on any subjective possibility that they see potential for. So that is a very loose and very dangerous, thing to present and to be that they're trying to achieve behind closed doors with John Walsh. So I need everyone, to keep supporting, and they can, if people would like to donate or contribute towards our work. I also have an amazing organization you can find on Twitter called Rescue the Fosters. It's part of an amazing team that we formed. That's Sylvia Beachy with Rescue the Fosters on Twitter and TikTok. And so, you can also follow over there. But donations go on PayPal to familyfarmandfaith@gmail.com. That's family, farm, and spelled out AND faith, FAITH @gmail.com. And lastly, I'm getting back to it. Everyone always asks me if I miss fashion and don't you miss all that kind of stuff. But I did actually just recently launch an online store
nice.
on Shopify, and some awesome designs and T-shirts. And really, my point here, I prayed on this, and what I want to do. My point here is to really offer ways that people can spread awareness within their communities. And I understand that it's a very hard topic and thing to discuss or bring up. So, the T-shirts that I put are very wearable with a pair of jeans to the store on the weekend or, the park or whatnot. But they are real conversation starters, regarding child predator services, child pedophile services, and government trafficking of our children. So people can find that at Meghan-Walsh-Designs.myshopify.com.
Nice.
All right,
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Megan, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really do appreciate you always, and love you very much. You're very special to us, and just want to say, we're praying for you. Everything is going to work out. We believe that. We're going to manifest that, put it out into the universe, that everything is going to work out.
Absolutely.
Everything is going to be awesome. And I'll be putting out those links on the YouTube channel. So if you guys need those links to Meghan Walsh, they'll be on the channel. So make sure you guys link into those, okay?
Definitely.
Thank you, Megan. God bless, honey.
Thank you guys so much. Love you guys.
Love
God
you.
bless.
you.
Appreciate it.
So
There we
yeah,
go.
man. So Meghan, she we have a video that we're gonna put out as well with this. It was a video that hasn't been really shown of what was happening.
Yeah, we'll put
I
that
think we'll
out.
put that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're always grateful to Meghan. We're still very good friends with Meghan, and we always are concerned about what's going on with her. So we just wanted to recap you guys of
Just
what's
follow
going
up,
on.
make it full
Just,
circle.
keep it keep it real.
It's been a year since we shined a light on this situation, and then here we are, and now it's taken it to a whole other level.
And now look, she's doing fashion. She has these organizations, so she's done stuff within the year.
Yeah.
Last year she was like a little like in a different spot. It just took they just took her daughter, so she was in a different spot. So this year I see that she's stronger. She's fighting. She still wants her kids. She's still fighting for her kids. Always posting. I follow her on Twitter.
Yep.
She's always posting. So I mean, if you look every half hour, she's on there posting something, putting something out there to bring awareness.
You have to.
To people. That's what she does.
Yep,
So
100%.
make sure you guys give her a follow. Like she said, it's on a TikTok page. She lost it because she said the truth.
Yeah, said the truth.
And that's what's happening.
And they'll do
We
it every
lost
time.
2 videos on us. We just lost AI today.
Yeah, our AI
AI video. YouTube took it out.
Yep.
It's all good.
all
So
good.
we
It's
have
all
to be
right.
careful with me.
We'll
I have to be
we have
careful
to go-
with. I have to be careful with my fucking with the things I say.
Yeah,
but
we'll go
it
over.
is
We'll
what
go
it
over to
is.
Rumble too. So
Don't
that's
say
all
that
right.
again.
Yeah, but Rondo, you have mentioned something. I ain't think you got a chance to finish like about satanic. Let's talk about that for a minute with these kids. What do you think they're trying to do? Really, you think they're trying to fucking make these kids little devils or something?
No, they're trying to make them as dependent, zombie. I'm telling you, bro. Like socialism is coming for America.
Yeah,
Socialism's coming.
it's already here.
Like
Yeah.
socialism, and the thing is, they're trying to get if they get the future right now, if they get control of it, they can do anything because the children will be so dependent on the government giving them everything.
Yeah.
They're taking them out of the homes already. The kids are more than enough kids, a number that shouldn't be, has experience being taken out of the home.
Yep.
At one point. Now it's so common. All your neighbor has to do is say, "Oh, I saw you spank him one time," and CPS is at the door.
That's it. Yeah, or
It's that
or
easy.
even the teachers. The teachers, this
Well, I
is
can
nothing
tell
right.
you, man.
In the hood, you see it
we
all the
were
time.
there, and she didn't do none of that kid.
No.
And they took the
We
kid.
saw
And
that.
you ain't gotta do nothing now.
She didn't do nothing to that child, bro. And they took that child,
Dog
bro.
was 5
Bro,
days
I'm
old.
telling
So
you.
the kid was 5 days old, bro. Beautiful little girl. And let me tell you, remember they had the shortage on all the shit? Bro, she had, that shit was stacked,
Yeah, she
bro.
had formula.
She had fucking formula, everything, fucking stacked. That
But
kid
this
had it
is
all,
the
bro.
thing: if a kid is being abused, they're not doing anything about it.
Nope.
Have you watched the Miguel Hernandez case?
Yeah.
That the CPS is being called because the teacher's seeing burn marks on the child, seeing his whole face was burned, the whole top of his face was scorched.
Wow.
The teacher is calling saying this is happening. Every time CPS went to this house, I think 6 times. Every time they went to the house, they never laid eyes on the child.
Wow.
Not one time.
But they came and got this baby.
But come and get a baby that somebody just called and said, "Oh yeah, this is all that, yeah."
Yeah.
You see, this baby's okay,
Yeah. Yep.
but you didn't go it. But in the case of Miguel Hernandez,
Yeah.
they went in there, and nobody said, "Bring the child out." We don't give a fuck about what you talking about right now. We need to see the kid. Can you do that for us?
Nope.
And if you can't, we can make something happen. That's a situation. They're not showing you the child.
It's a true story.
True story.
It's a sad story.
It's a sad story.
It's a sad
fucked
fucking
up,
story.
man. It's
You know,
fucked up.
I
All
mean,
of it is. It's a mess. It's
It's a
fucked up.
fucking mess. I gotta tell you, not for nothing, I didn't eat anything, right? Like the food came,
Yeah.
and we brought
I'm
caps.
gonna fuck that shit up.
I'm about to fuck that shit up after this podcast, bro.
Fuck that shit up.
I saw wings, I,
know,
saw
wings,
fucking sausage
salad,
pizza, salad.
sausage, everything.
And no, Megan's
Fuck that
talking,
shit
and I'm
up.
like, yeah, okay,
I'm
cool.
getting
Then my
hungry.
stomach's on like, fuck, man, I
Right.
can use some of them fucking wings.
Right.
No, Cat's Pizza, bro, not for them, man. I appreciate you guys. You guys
real.
always look out for us every Tuesday, I mean, we really love you guys. I mean, it's
We gotta get the hats.
Yeah, bro, we gotta
where the
get
hats
hats. Yeah, what's
Johnny
up?
get 'em too.
Yeah,
I'll
we
get
gotta
'em.
get Johnny
I'll
get
get 'em.
those hats.
Yeah.
Cat's Pizza is the place to go. These people are fucking patriots. They're real fucking dynamite people.
Yep.
It's an awesome little spot. Drive by, look at it, go inside. You'll see it's like a fucking. The place is badass. Old school. Good pizza, good salads, good food. They got beer and wine.
Yep.
It's a nice spot, and it's on 27th and Oslo.
Yep.
Right before you hit Oslo, right there, man. It's a nice spot. He owns the plaza. There's a CBD shop
Yep.
next door. So you guys will see it. You know what I mean?
It's a good spot. There's a lot of
Yeah.
good people hang out there. Actually,
Yeah.
when I was picking up the pizza, there was a couple guys I went to high school with, Drew and a couple fellas, and they were fucking they were there, and I was telling about the podcast, telling them to tune in. So shout out to those guys too.
So if they want to call in an order, how they do that?
772-770-CAPS. Knocking out pizza since 1987.
That's right.
Right?
Anyway, man, so let's go tear up some of that
Let's get
fucking
some of that
cat
pizza.
pizza. I really want to thank Megan again. If you're still listening to the podcast, sweetheart, thank you so much for giving us your time. We always appreciate. We know you're busy, and really do appreciate you taking time for us. God bless.
Good follow.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, stay human.
Love, peace, chicken grease, baby.
Love, peace, chicken
out.
grease, baby. We out. God bless y'all.